Amen. Amen. We thank God for being here this morning. We thank God for the opportunity to speak once again on this Sunday morning in service. We don't want to prolong the time. I'm just going to touch on a brief text, just very briefly here. And we go to John, the chapter 9, verse number 8. It reads, "The neighbors, therefore, and they which before had seen him, that he was blind, said, Is not this he that sat and begged? Some said, This is he. Others said, He is like him. But he said, I am he. Therefore said they unto him, How were thine eyes opened? He answered and said, A man that is called Jesus made clay, and anointed my eyes, and said unto me, Go to the pool of Siloam, and wash. And I went and I washed, and I received sight. Then said they unto him, Where is he? He said, I know not." I want to just very briefly talk on the subject of a man called Jesus. This morning, as I was listening to the Sunday school, I think it all going to kind of flow in together with what I'm saying here today in this message. The man that the text is talking about was born blind, and as he was born blind, one day he met a man named Jesus. As we all know this text very well, the man, he was blind, he was born blind, and the disciples asked and said, who was it that sinned that resulted in the man being blind? But Jesus told the disciples that it wasn't that his parents sinned, nor did he sin, but it was so that the glory of the Lord would be revealed. And I want you to know that sometimes in our lives, in many different situations that goes on, sometimes things is the way they are simply so that God can get the glory out of our situations. God will get the glory out of where we at, and God will move in a mighty way, and that everyone that's sitting on the sideline that's asking the question, how are you doing so well now, can know that it was nobody but God. But you met a man that was called Jesus. If you look at that 8 verse, they said the neighbors are asking, they say, is that not the man which was blind? His neighbors wanted to know, is that not the same man that we saw out there sitting and begging? And, some people was look at you, and some people will want to keep you in the situation where you're out begging and you're out asking of alms and seeking people help in order for you to make it through. But then there come a time that whenever God go to working with you and deliver you out of certain situations, that you don't have to ask people no more, and you don't have to ask for help no more. But simply because it's not that you are too high or too prideful to ask for help. It's now that God is now moving you to a place to where now people want to know why you're doing so well yourself. And it's not that you can get to claim the glory out of it. It's not that you can take the credit for the situation, but you're doing it because, see, you have met Jesus. I don't want to get ahead of myself. Let me read on just a little bit more. It says, see, some people, all they can do is remember when you were in a mess. They can't believe that you are out of the begging situation. They can't believe that you have made it this far in life. They can't believe that you have come out of that gulf. They can't believe that you have done this great of a work with what you once was. But it's not at the point that as long as you can see the man on the road begging, as long as you are the one on the road that's begging, and you are at the people's mercy. This man, as long as he was on the road begging, he couldn't see for himself. And I heard in Sunday school lesson that where the reference was made to blind Bartimaeus. As long as blind Bartimaeus was on the side of the road begging, the people knew who he was and where he was at, and he was always at the mercy of people. But when blind Bartimaeus heard when Jesus was passing by, you know the story. He went to crying out to God. He went to crying out to him. And the people said to blind Bartimaeus, be quiet, shut up. Because all they want you to do is stay on the side of the road begging. That's some people's mentality. As long as you're on the side of the road begging, you're at their mercy. But blind Bartimaeus, he cried out the most. And I don't want to get in that story, digging that too much, but as long as people can keep you under their mercy, people's mercy, because you're the one that's begging. You're the one that's asking for help. You're the one that's seeking for some help, because if you could do it yourself, you would do it. But people choose a lot of times not to help you when they know, in fact, they can. But the next thing I want you to know is, but as soon as it looks like you are overcoming that situation, as soon as like you are overcoming and getting out, as soon as blind Bartimaeus got out of that situation, he saw a way out. Then that's when he went to cry out to the one source to get him out of that situation. But as soon as you go to coming out, as soon as you go to making a way, then people going to want to try to say, how you doing so well, man? How you making it out? How you doing it? How you get out from under that situation? And they want to keep you in a lockdown situation. They want to keep you in a situation where you're always looking for help from the people that's passing by. But I want you to know today there's a better place, there's a better hope, there's a better situation. You don't have to be, just because you're in sin, just because whether it's your illness or whether it's your situation. God has set you in a situation to where you can get out of it. And then if you can get out of it, he's still passing by. He's wanting to get you deliverance. He want to give you a breakthrough. He want to give you a miracle. He wants you to have your sight back. But what happens a lot of times, we can't receive our sight simply because we don't want to do what God has told us to do. What you talking about, preacher? If you get to the 10th verse, if you go back to the 7th verse, it says that Jesus anointed this man's eyes with clay. While he was talking to the man that was blind, he anointed his eyes with clay. He did this in such a way to where now he told the man to go and wash. And then as the man went and washed, he came back able to see. But if you go back to the 11th verse, he says, and he answered and said, because they asked him a question, he answered and said, a man called Jesus made clay, and he anointed my eyes, and he said unto me, go to the pool of Siloam and wash. Now, first, it's not just good just to meet Jesus. It's not good just to go to church and find out who Jesus is. It's not good to just have one encounter with Jesus. But he said, you got to notice this in the next part. He said, go to the pool. Jesus gave the man some instructions. See, we sometimes we miss it because we miss the instructions that Jesus has given us. And I hate to repeat everything that was said in such, but when you meet Jesus, just because you meet him, that's not good enough. You got to be able to be willing to follow the instructions. The man was told to go to the pool. Go to the pool. Go to the place where Jesus has commanded you to go to. He didn't tell him to go to the pool in Egypt. He just told him to go to the pool called Siloam. So if the man had went to any other pool than the one that he was dictated to go to, his deliverance could have been hindered. You got to get this, because I believe God is giving this to us so that we would know that in order for us to get the blessing that we need, we have to get to the place that God has prepared for us. In order for us to get get our sight back, we must first go to the source and go to the place that the man of God have told us to go to. He told him to go to the pool of Siloam, and then not just to go to it and just look at it. He told him to go to it and wash. He said, and I went. Now this is what the man said. I went. You can be mad at me. You can hate me all day long. But when Jesus told me to go, I went. When Jesus told me to do, I did it. And he said, when he went and washed, he said, I received my sight. So in other words, words, he got what he was needing from God simply because God told him to do a certain specific instruction, and as God told him to do it, the man was obedient to doing it. And now all the people is wondering why he got his deliverance and how he got his breakthrough, and want to know how is it that this man that was on the side of the road blind and begging, seeking for help, now he's walking around doing things on his own, got sight, able to see, and now all his neighbors want to know how did this happen. It was all because a man called Jesus came in his way. And when this man called Jesus came in his way, it was up to the man then to receive what Jesus had to say. So what I'm telling you today is that we can get what we want from God. We can receive from God. We can get our sight back. We can get our deliverance. We can get that breakthrough that we need. But what we have to do, we first have to meet Jesus. And as we meet Jesus, then the next thing we have to do, we have to obey what he said. I got to go back to it again. He said, I went. In other words, I went and I washed. And I received my sight. So Jesus gave him a set of instructions, and as the man did what he was told to do, as he did what he was instructed to do, he received his sight. If we look at that 12th verse, he said, they said unto him, where is he? Now they want to know, where's the one that gave you that the ability to receive your sight? Where's the one that way that they may know? So see, and some people, there's gonna be some people that's gonna generally want to know what it is that's helping you, how you are getting what you want, and you can't keep it to yourself because see, some things you got to reveal it unto them so that way they would know, and those that want to receive something from God, they'll know how to go about receiving it. God won't just give you and bless you in order for you to be a blessing, just for your blessing to sit upon you and rest upon you by yourself. He does it so that he may get the glory out of your life. He does it so that way that somebody else that really wants to receive from God, that really wants to get something from the Lord, will be able to receive it. It don't matter where you're from. It don't matter who you are. It don't matter what things you have done in your life. When you go to the point where you meet Jesus, and then Jesus is going to talk to you, and you're going to obey what he said, God then gets the glory out of your life. People going to keep on trying to look at where you come from. People going to keep on trying to look at where you came from and what you come out of. But what you got to know is what God has set you free from. He said, whom he has set free is free indeed. So when you are free from the things that you were bound on, if you are free from the things that had you bound, God gets the glory out of your life. And as you keep going on, you can tell people how the man that you met called Jesus, how he delivered you from your sickness, how he delivered you from your boundaries. Now, if you go on and read on the 13th verse, said, but they brought the Pharisees. They brought to the Pharisees that aforetime was blind. So they took the one that was blind to the Pharisees. And it was the Sabbath day when Jesus made the clay and opened his eyes. Then again said the Pharisees also asked him how he had received his sight. And he said unto them, he put clay upon my eyes, and I washed and do see. Therefore said some of the Pharisees, this man is not of God, because he keepeth not the Sabbath day. Others said, how can a man that is a sinner do such miracles? And there was a division among them. Then they said unto the blind man again, what sayest thou of him that had opened thine eyes? He said he is a prophet. But Jesus did not believe, but the Jews did not believe concerning him, that he had been blind and received his sight, until they called the parents that had received his sight. In other words, they called his parents around. They didn't want to ask his parents because they wouldn't believe it coming from the young man. They didn't believe that the young man was in the situation that he was in before. And now, even though they had seen him out there on the side of the road, even though the people have known him, that his neighbors seen him on the side of the road, they knew he was sitting there blind and begging. But now that he's delivered, now they don't want to believe his testimony. But Well, we have to have that same testimony on today. We was messed up. We was lost. We was on the side of the road. But when we met that man called Jesus, he did a work in our life that most people would say we was the castaway, that we would never be nothing else. But he did a work in our life to now that they see us up and about. Now they wonder, how is it that you came to be what you are today? How is it that you are overcoming those different boundaries that you are bound under? How is it that now you was crippled and walking around messed up, and now he hears you stride, your walk is better than mine? Why is that? It's because we have met somebody that's able to do the impossible. Now everybody else, they was telling something. One was trying to say that he was a devil. The other was trying to say that how can a devil deliver on the Sabbath simply because it was a Sabbath day that this miracle took place. Why is it that when God goes to doing a special work in people's lives, some people go sit back and try to say that ain't nothing but the devil, and other people going to say, well, if this was the devil, how is that man overcoming? Simply because sometimes if it was a situation that they could have handled, they would have already handled it. But because the deliverance didn't come from them, it came from somebody else, then that's the reason why they can sit back and call it a devil. But when you in line with Jesus and you're doing what Jesus has told you to do, and you're walking by faith and being obedient to what God has said, it don't matter what you used to be. You could be the biggest crackhead it was. It don't matter. It wasn't the devil that got you out of it. God was the one that did the miracle. God was the one that performed the work. God was the one that gave you the avenue to come out and deliver yourself. See, he gave the man that opportunity. It was up to the man then to take advantage of the opportunity that was given to him. All he did was wash and put clay and gave instructions. But you got to realize, the second part of that deliverance process is up to the individual. As the individual then take on the word that was spoken to him and go and apply it to their life, then that's when the deliverance came. So you can be delivered, you can get deliverance, but it's all dictated upon how well you receive the word, how well you believe the word, how well you follow the instruction that was given to you. So by just meeting Jesus is not enough. Just God taking the preacher's hand and shaking it is not enough. There got to be some work behind what you're doing. There got to be some action put forth in order for you to receive what God has for you. He said, all I know is you can say he's a devil, you can say he's an angel, a Jew, or not Jew. All I know is I was blind, but now I'm able to see. All I know is I was bound, but now I am free. All I know is that, yeah, I used to be that, but now I am not that no more, simply because I met a man called Jesus. I want you to know that if you haven't met a man called Jesus and he haven't done that in your life, just keep on living, keep on following what the word say do, and one day you will find out a man called Jesus have stepped into your life and he have done a work in your life, simply because why? Now you're not the same old thing that you used to be. Now you're not in the same old hole that you used to be. Now you're in a new way of living. Now things that you used to do, you don't do no more. See, that's the problem. When you really meet the man named Jesus, the things that you used to do, those old ways that you used to have, those people you would cuss out in a minute, those people that you would call hell all down upon them, those same old people, you won't be calling them the same way now that you've met a man called Jesus. That's the reason why the church of today got to be for real with what they do. Because if they have met a man called Jesus, then it don't matter what kind of situation they once was in, what kind of situation they used to be. I talked to a brother yesterday on Friday. He said, man, if I was the way I was when I was out there in those streets, I would walk up to that individual and just shout him dead. But now that the Lord has touched him, have changed his lifestyle, he met a man named Jesus, now he don't walk that way no more. Now he don't do those things no more because he met a man named Jesus. I don't want to keep boring your patience, but we got to know that when we come in contact with this man called Jesus, that the things that we used to do, the places that we used to be, those places we are not going to be no more, those things we're not going to be doing no more, and all is because he has worked a perfect work in our lives. let me read on just a little bit. I'm going to close out of this. He says, therefore said some of the Pharisees, this man is not of God because he keepeth not the Sabbath. Others said, how can a man that is a sinner do such miracles? And there was a division among them. And they said unto the blind man again, what sayest thou? I'm sorry, I read it already, but he said he is a prophet. But the Jews did not believe concerning him that he had been blind and received his sight, until they called the parents of him that had received the sight. And they asked them, saying, is this your son, who ye say was born blind? How then does he now see? And his parents answered them, saying, we know not this. We know that this is our son, and that he was born blind. But by what means he now sees, we know not. Or who had opened his eyes, we know not. He is of age, ask him. He shall speak for himself. These words spake his parents because they feared the Jews. For the Jews had agreed already that if any man did confess that he was Christ, and he should be put out of the synagogue. Therefore said his parents, he is of age. Then again they called the man that was blind, and said unto him, give God the praise. We know that this man is a sinner. He answered and said, whether he be a sinner or no, I know not one thing I know, that whereas I was blind, now I see. Then they said to him again, what did he to thee? He opened he thine eyes. And he answered them and said, I have told you already, and ye did not hear. Wherefore would ye hear it again? Will ye also be his disciples? Then they reviled him and said, thou art his disciples, but we are Moses' disciples. See, some people, even though you tell them how you received it, even though you tell them how you're walking the way you walk, even though you're telling them how you have been delivered, some people still won't believe what you got to say. And every time they come back and they ask the same old questions over and over again, and they don't want to hear what you really said in the first time. Because if they would really hear it and apply it to their life, then they will overcome. But they don't want to hear that. They want to hear to the point where they want to argue with you because you are where you at, and they want to keep you back in the same old shape and really don't want to believe your testimony. But baby, I want you to know today that your testimony is, I met a man named Jesus. And one thing about him is, I don't know if he was a sinner, I don't know if he was a devil, but all I know is that he is the man that gave me my sight back. All I know is that he is the man that delivered me from my sickness. All I know is he was a man that when I was blind, now I'm able to see because he touched me. See, when you walk into a man named Jesus, all those ailments and all those things that is hindered you, God will get you the deliverance that you need. All simply because you met a man called Jesus. They still now don't even want to believe what the man had to say. They know he was blind. They know he came from nothing. They know he was messed up. They know he was in a situation to where he couldn't help himself. He was at their mercy. But now that God has done what he done, now they still don't want to believe that God is capable. Even that's just like church folks of the day. Church folks of the day, they say God can do anything but the impossible. God can do anything. He can do anything. But as soon as he goes working on certain people, then those certain people that God is doing that anything for, they don't even want to believe it. They say to them, man, you better mess with that one. You better mess with that one. You better do that. That's the devil. But you just said out of your own mouth that God is able to do the impossible. How is it that God is able to do the impossible, but because of somebody that you might not like, he's not able to work in that life? Only thing that they got to do is hear what he said, do the instructions that he said, and then God going to work and perform it in their life. And then if we don't be careful, we'll be just like these Pharisees. God's going to work in somebody's life, and you be calling it the devil, when God is saying, I don't work the miracle, and you still saying it's the devil. But God is saying that if you would just do what I asked you to do, if you would just meet a man called Jesus and do what he told you to do, then the life that you live can be better than the life at your beginning. The man was born blind, but now he had his sight. And now he's telling everybody how he received his sight, and they still don't want to hear. But just because they don't want to hear don't mean the man didn't get his miracle. The man that's going on living his life and seeing everything that he can see simply because he did what Jesus told him to do. And that's what I'm leaving with you today. If you would just do what God told you to do, it don't matter what everybody else says. While they're talking, while they're doing with their opinions and spitting their opinions out, calling it the devil or calling it anything else other than what God said it is what he said. And then all while they're saying that you go on to be living your life and seeing everything because you got your sight back. Living your life up just simply because God has blessed you and gave you a deliverance. All you have to do is walk on. So what I'm telling you today, church, stay with God. When you meet Jesus, follow his instruction. As he said in this morning about Abraham could have never got to the ram in the bush until he got to that place that God had given him and had instructed him to go to. And when he moved on faith, then he was able to receive the many blessings that God had to offer him. We got more blessings in store for us. I know it's the last and evil days, but we still got to follow the instructions. And as the instructions come, God can have you living a blessed life down here in the middle of a pandemic. God can keep you safe in the middle of a pandemic. God will take you higher in the middle of a pandemic. Why? Because you follow the instructions of the Lord. What he told you to do. Do it and do it wholeheartedly. And then watch God bless you. Amen. Thank you. I'm turning it back into the hands of the sister pastor.